Credit card debt so far this year has already soared $45 billion in the first half of 2023 and is now over $1 trillion. So we wanted to spend some time today talking about credit cards, the dangers and the potential benefits. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Jess Ellicott and Courtney Moriarty. First, we want to start out by talking about finding the right credit card. Could have several reasons to get one. You may be starting out trying to build credit as a younger person, in which case maybe a student credit card, which is unsecured and easy to qualify for. That might be a good option for you. Or you may be trying to rebuild credit, maybe after a bankruptcy or some other type of issue, and in which case you could apply for a secured credit card. So if you have good credit and you use credit cards wisely, maybe you're just looking for a card to use for emergencies. So Courtney, can you tell us a little bit about other credit card benefits that might be useful to this type of person?
For example, one of my friends wanted to do some renovations to her house this summer before it got cold outside, but she wanted to pay it with her bonus that she won't get for another 6 months. So she did something called a balance transfer offer. And this is when you have a credit card balance that you transfer to another credit card using some kind of a promotional rate. But there are some best practices that need to be implemented in order for this to work. So first of all, you need to be aware of upfront fees. They're anywhere from 3 to 5% of your balance. They're going to get tacked onto the full balance, and you'll have to repay it by the end of the promotional period. Also, you want to make sure that your balance is paid off before the end of that promotional period, because once that period is up, you're going to start paying interest using the typical APR. Some things you also need to be aware of and be realistic with yourself is if you have trouble paying your credit card bills on time, this is probably not the move for you, because what a lot of credit card companies can do and stipulate in the contract, but a lot of people miss this, is if you miss a payment, even by a day, it can cancel your low promotional APR rate, and it can be replaced with a higher than average APR immediately. Also, another thing that people make mistakes on with these is making additional purchases on this credit card in which you have the balance transfer on. Because when you carry a balance on a credit card and you make new purchases, it can cancel your grace period. The promotional period is specific for this promo for this credit card, right? To get your business in the door, the low APR for 21 months. But your grace period is with any credit card. So if you have a credit card, you have a grace period. By law, it has to be at least 21 days. From the time your billing cycle ends until the date you have to pay that bill. So in that time, you don't pay interest on your purchases from that billing cycle. But if you carry a balance over, including your balance transfer balance, then you're going to immediately start paying interest on any new purchases. They won't give you your grace period.
Another reason to get a credit card could be to utilize some of the cashback rewards that are offered from purchasing from specific vendors or merchants. Maybe it's grocery shopping or filling up your gas tank. Jess, can you talk a little bit about the benefits of cashback cards and how to choose the right one?
Number one, do your research. Every credit card is different. And so it's so important to really know what you're getting into before you sign up for anything. The very first step that I take when I'm determining whether or not I should get a new card is to kind of review my spending that I've done over the last 3 to 6 months. So once you take a look at your finances and really determine where you're spending your money, that's when you can start to narrow down at least what category you want to start looking into. There is a great resource that's for free online called NerdWallet. You can go there and you can say, I'm looking for a travel card, and it will take kind of all of your financial stats and give you the best recommendation for you. Okay, I've figured out what category I think makes the most sense for me, but there's still 15, 20 different cards for me to choose between. I like to start looking at then what those fees are on that card compared to the benefits that they're offering. So for example, some cards will offer a lower tier where they don't have an annual fee, but you get a lower cashback percentage. Or if you go to the higher tier, you are paying that fee with a higher percentage of cash back. I say beware of the sign-on bonuses. Everyone's all excited because it's like free money. Who doesn't love free money? But it's another way to kind of entice you without really thinking about the long-term spend. So for example, if you end up with a card where you're paying an annual fee and your justification is, oh, well, I get a $200 sign-on bonus, you only get that once. So it'll cover your first year of that card, but then what about the following years that you have to pay that fee?
So everyone's done their research, right? They decide on a card, they're ready to apply. Just keep in mind, you can include all of the income that you have reasonable access to. So Courtney, can you talk a little bit about some other important things about credit card utilization?
Credit utilization is the second biggest factor that goes into your credit score. So it's just a simple calculation. It's the amount of credit you're using, so the amount of debt or whatever, and over the total available credit you have that you could spend. So the lower that number is, the better your credit score will be. When applying for a credit card, you usually have to report your income on that, like you said. So the more income you report, the better, because that means the more credit you will have available to you. They're going to increase your credit availability. However, there is a downside to this. If your behavior isn't quite disciplined, and you can get caught in the trap of spending all your available credit or more than you should, and more than you can pay off within a reasonable amount of time, and then you're paying interest. You don't want to get caught in the trap of spending more just because it's there. The rewards are just not worth it.
Well, Jess, often you receive better benefits when you have a higher credit score. I know Courtney talked a little bit about credit utilization factoring into that, but can you leave us with some other important takeaways on how to improve your credit score?
Much like NerdWallet, there are tons of free resources out there for you to go and check your personal score. I personally use Credit Karma. And like I said, it's great for personalized recommendations of what I can do. But on a more general note, as Courtney mentioned, credit utilization is one of the big factors that go into your credit score. But the other two that are involved is going to be your payment history and then derogatory marks on your account. So with payment history, that's all about paying off your credit card in full on time as often and as frequently as you can. So a payment missed by up to 30 days can have an impact on your score, but that one is at least a little bit easier to recover from. Whereas if you have a payment that's missed by up to from 60 to 90 days, that is a lot more damaging and could ultimately disqualify you from applying for certain loans down the road. And then if you pass that 90-day mark, that missed payment will be sent to collections, and that will eventually lead to a derogatory mark on your account, which has a very large impact. There are a couple other factors that play into your score that don't have as much of an impact, but are still equally important. Some of those are credit age. So the longer that you have been in the credit game, the better. The other thing that kind of goes into it is the total accounts that you own. So we talk often about how important it is to diversify your investment portfolio, and the same thing goes for your credit account. And then the last kind of factor that is looked at is the number of card inquiries. So these are when you apply for credit in any form. These only affect your credit score for a temporary amount of time compared to the other ones. So if you have too many, it can hurt your score, but they could stay on your report up to 2 years, but eventually fade out over time. And then it usually bounces back within 3 months.
Well, you both shared so much valuable information today. I'm very grateful for that, and I'm sure our audience is too. So thank you for joining me, and to our audience, thank you for watching. Have a great day.